I thought leaving would be the end of everything that haunted me. I packed 2 bags, turned off my phone, deleted every social account, and stepped onto a one-way flight. No goodbyes, no second thoughts, just this strange, quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, I could outrun the pieces of myself I didn't want anymore. You ever get that feeling when a plane takes off? That sudden weightlessness, like you're watching your old life shrink beneath you. That's what I felt. Freedom, a blank page. And for the first few weeks in a new country, I convinced myself I was finally free. New language, new job, new apartment with creaky floors and a broken heater, but it was mine. I'd wake up to the sound of unfamiliar birds outside and think, this is the sound of reinvention. I smiled at strangers. I started telling people my story with the messier parts edited out. The version of me I introduced to the world was cleaner, braver, stronger. But here's the thing no one tells you about running away. Sometimes, what you're running from learns how to catch up. It started with a voice, just a word, really. A name, my name, whispered in a crowd where no one should have known it. I froze, turned around, nothing, just a market full of noise like usual, but my stomach dropped. A week later, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject, just 2 words, found you. I stared at it for hours, deleted it, then undeleted it, then read it again. That night I didn't sleep. The walls of my apartment, once filled with the thrill of a new beginning, now felt like they were watching me. And that's when I realized I didn't just bring my memories, I brought my guilt. Not the loud, screaming kind. No, the quiet one, the kind that sits in the corner of the room and watches. The one you try to drown with new routines and paperwork and foreign grocery store aisles, but it doesn't blink. It waits. I started hearing sounds at night. Soft knocks, voices in dreams speaking my mother tongue. I hadn't spoken it in months. I woke up crying once, the kind of cry that feels like it's coming from someone else's body. And then came the package. No return address, just my name spelled in the way only someone from home would spell it. Inside, a single photograph, me as a child, smiling. And on the back, written in rushed ink, you don't get to forget. That was the moment I stopped pretending I de-escaped. I had changed my name, changed my city, changed the rhythm of my days. But I hadn't changed who I was when no one was watching. You see, we all carry something. Some carry regret. Some secrets. Mine was a choice I made 5 years ago, a choice that helped me survive at someone else's expense. I told myself it was justified, that anyone would have done the same. But the truth is, some decisions echo, louder when you try to silence them. I started seeing him in reflections, not his face, just the shape. A figure standing at the edge of my vision in bus windows, in shop glass, behind me when I passed dim alleyways. Every time I turned, nothing. It was like my mind was rebuilding someone I thought I'd erased. I stopped going out after dark. I changed my route to work. I even moved apartments. But the feeling didn't go away. It wasn't fear anymore, it was certainty. A gut-level knowing that the past wasn't just behind me, it was circling. I used to laugh at people who talked about guilt like it was a ghost. But now I get it. It doesn't need a face. It just needs silence to grow in. And I'd given it plenty. Then came the phone call. No number, just static. I almost hung up. But through the noise, a voice cracked through. 4 words. The same 4 words I'd said the night everything changed. You said you'd stay. The line went dead. I dropped the phone. It wasn't possible. That voice belonged to someone I hadn't seen since the day I left. Someone who should never have known where I went. Someone who might not even be alive. I told myself I was being paranoid, that my mind was filling in blanks. But part of me knew I hadn't come to this country alone. When you betray someone, really betray them, it's not just them who remembers. It's your body, your habits, the way you flinch at kindness, the way you over-explain things no one asked about, the way you wake up at 3 a.m., heart racing, because your subconscious keeps staging the same scene over and over again. I wasn't rebuilding, I was hiding, and I was doing a terrible job at it. One evening, I opened the window to get some air. The city was buzzing. Lights, horns, life. But just across the street, someone was watching me. Still silent. No phone, no smoke. No excuse to be standing there. I stared, blinked. They were gone. It was like trying to live inside a mirror with a crack down the middle. You can see the reflection, but it's never quite right. And the longer you pretend it is, the closer it gets to shattering. That night, I made a decision. I went into my closet, pulled out the old box I swore I'd never open again. The one with the documents, photos, and one small envelope with her handwriting. I sat on the floor and read her last letter again, the one I never answered, the one I ran from. And I cried. Not because I missed her, but because I knew deep down that I had taken something that wasn't mine to take. Not just a passport, not just a place in the world, but her future. And even though I had crossed oceans to escape it, that future had come looking for me. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I walked, no destination, just walked, through streets I thought I knew, past cafes I used to find comfort in, past strangers I'd once envied for seeming so effortlessly at home here. I wandered until my legs ached and my thoughts were loud enough to drown out everything else. And I asked myself the question I had avoided for years. What would happen if I stopped running? Not just physically, but from the truth. We all have a version of ourselves we present to the world. It's curated, polished, selectively edited. I had built mine carefully, a survivor, an adventurer, someone who had left everything behind to start fresh. But the truth is, I didn't leave everything. I left someone who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Someone who asked for one simple thing, don't disappear. But when things got hard, I did exactly that. I didn't just vanish from her life. I erased myself, blocked, disconnected. I told myself it was kindness, that I was sparing her the burden of who I was becoming. But really, I was sparing myself. From guilt, from accountability, from feeling like the bad guy. But no matter how far I moved, how many new languages I tried to learn, how many times I changed my number, my silence followed me like a shadow. People talk a lot about starting over, like it's brave, like it's clean. But here's the secret. Starting over means nothing if you're still pretending your past wasn't real. You can't build a new life on the bones of an old one and expect it to stand. That afternoon, I sat in a crowded park, a bench in the shade, and for the first time in years, I typed out her name. Just her name, no message. But it was a start. I didn't know if the number still worked. I didn't even know if she was alive. But I hit send anyway, and I waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Then 3 little dots. She was typing. My hands shook. I held my breath. And then the message came through. Took you long enough. No anger, no blame, just those 4 words. And somehow they broke me more than any insult could have. Because in that moment, I realized forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It just gives you permission to live with it. I typed back before I could think, I'm sorry. 2 words that felt like trying to stop a flood with a paper cup. No reply. The dots vanished. I stared at the silent screen until my eyes blurred. Around me, the world kept moving. Kids chased pigeons. A street guitarist looped the same 4 chords. Someone laughed too loudly at a joke I couldn't hear. Life, indifferent to my private apocalypse. An hour passed, then another. The sun dipped, drawing long shadows across the grass. Just as I began to accept the weight of unanswered grace, my phone vibrated. A single line, meet me where we said goodbye. My pulse spiked. That place existed 3 borders and 5 years away. Was she there now? Was this a test, a trap, or an invitation to finally face the version of myself I'd left standing on that platform? Fear said ignore it. Pride said explain yourself in paragraphs. Guilt said book the first flight, but a quieter voice, maybe hope, said start by showing up. That night I packed 1 bag, this time with everything that mattered. Passport, phone, the photograph from the package, and the letter. I left my keys on the kitchen table and whispered goodbye to an apartment that had been more hiding place than home. At the airport, every announcement echoed like judgment. Final call, last chance, no returns. I bought a ticket without checking the price. When the plane lifted off, I didn't feel weightless. I felt heavy, like gravity itself was reminding me what honesty costs. 9 hours later, I stood on the same cracked concrete where I'd once promised I'd be back soon. Nothing had changed except the graffiti. My breath fogged in the chilly dawn. A train rumbled somewhere in the distance, the sound of departures and arrivals. She appeared exactly at sunrise, walking toward me with deliberate calm, hands in pockets, eyes unreadable. For a heartbeat, I wondered if she was a hallucination conjured by exhaustion. But the air shifted when she stopped 3 steps away. Real, solid, quiet as the space between us. I opened my mouth, but she raised a hand. "Not yet," she said, voice softer than the memory of it. "Listen first." She told me what happened after I left. Missed calls that turned into unanswered voicemails, worry that calcified into betrayal, and finally the day she realized I wasn't lost, I was hiding. She spoke without accusation, just facts laid bare like open wounds. Each sentence felt surgical, cutting through my justifications with precise indifference. I wanted to interrupt, to explain the fear, the debt, the men who threatened everything if I stayed. But excuses are flimsy in the daylight of someone else's pain. So I listened. For the first time, truly listened. When she finished, the silence felt earned. I handed her the photograph, my childhood grin taped to a blank future, and the letter I'd reread to tatters. "These followed me," I said, "because I wouldn't." She turned the photo, read the ink on the back, and closed her eyes. A tear slipped, but she didn't wipe it away. "You think repentance is a destination," she whispered. "It's not. It's a journey back through every door you slammed." I nodded, words clumping in my throat. She took a step closer. "I don't need your apology," she said. "I need your truth." So I gave it, every fear, every threat, the night I chose survival over loyalty. The names, the deals, the moment I saw no other path but escape. I spoke until my voice cracked and every secret hung between us, raw and undeniable. When I finished, dawn had turned to full morning. She breathed in, slow and deliberate, as if weighing the confession. Then she did something I didn't deserve. She offered me a choice. "Stay," she said, "and make things right. Or leave again and know the past will keep chasing you in every reflection." The word stay echoed like a heartbeat. Making things right meant danger, restitution, maybe even losing the freedom I'd bartered my soul for. But leaving, that was a prison with invisible walls. I looked at her, at the hurt, the strength, the unbroken courage to meet me here, and realized running hadn't kept me safe. It had kept me empty. "I'll stay," I said, voice barely louder than the wind. For the first time she smiled, small and tired but real. "Then we begin," she replied. "Not from scratch, never again, we begin from truth." As the sun climbed, washing the station in pale gold, I felt something shift inside, a weight sliding into its rightful place. Heavy, yes, but finally mine to carry. I had no idea how we'd dismantle the lies, repay the debts, or face the people I'd wronged. But for the first time since that one-way flight, the path ahead felt like it led forward, not away. And that's the thing about starting over. The real restart isn't a new location. It's the moment you decide to stop deleting chapters and start writing the next one with honesty sharpened by regret. If you've ever wondered whether you can outrun your past, remember this. Footprints don't vanish when you stop looking at them. They just wait, patient as time, until you have the courage to trace them back. Choose courage.